I am surprised. I don't know why. Maybe I'm living a somewhat sheltered life in this regard. Maybe I haven't had enough exposure to individuals suffering from this. But when I put this poll up, this one here, on my YouTube community, and I asked you guys, what percentage of you, or has self-deletion ever crossed your mind? Over 3,000 of you voted. In total, 56% of you said yes. That's really, really worrying to me that over half of you candidly admit that self-deletion has absolutely crossed your mind. And don't worry, this is not a moralizing, judgmental, holier than thou video of me lauding my disbelief over you. How could you? You're so ungrateful for what you have. You know, how could you feel like this? Fear Allah. Although those things would be true, but it's not appropriate to bring that up in this context. And the truth is, good times create weak men. And if you're watching me, you're most probably based somewhere in the West. And we in the West live very, comparatively speaking, comfortable lives. Even if you're relatively poor, quote unquote poor. You know, real poverty, by the way, is living below, I believe it's $3 a day or $1 a day. That's the real poverty line. Bruv, if you're watching this right now, you're earning more than $3 a day because your internet connection costs you at least 25 quid a month. All right? So there is just no way that you are officially considered poor or living below the poverty line, as half the world is. I believe it's half the world. Maybe it's less than that now. Anyway, that's not my area of expertise. The point that I want to bring to your attention is the irony is those individuals who are living on the breadline, who are living on the poverty line, I can almost real poverty. Yeah, I'm talking Africa level poverty, that type of poverty. I can guarantee you very few of them are seriously considering self-deletion. Very, very few. And I'll explain to you why in this video. And in fact, I'm going to give you three tools, 3 points, 3 tips to help you through this, to help you manage these symptoms and actually come out for the better. And I'm going to give them to you in ascending order of importance. They're all important, but the third one is the most important. And the second one is more important than the first one, but the first one is still important. So point number 1, if self-deletion has ever crossed your mind, the first simple tip I want you to implement in your life is when you wake up first thing in the morning, do yourself a favor. Do not, I repeat, do not check your phone straight away. Don't do that. Don't do that. I've done this. You've done this. We've all done this. We've all made this mistake. And do you know what happens when you wake up first thing in the morning? Do you know why you want to check your phone in the first place? You're dopamine hunting. You're seeking a reward. Back in the day before phones were invented or any of these devices for that matter, in order to get that reward you're seeking, you would have had to go out and work. You would have had to go out and make a trade of some sort to make some money. Or even before that, you would have had to go to the forest and hunt and kill, and then you would have got your reward. But the reward would have felt satisfying. Why? Because sacrifice was involved. Sweat was involved. You earned it and you know it. What's the equivalent today? We wake up first thing in the morning and we're seeking an instant reward so we can get a bit of a dopamine rush first thing. And so we open up Instagram and you open up TikTok and you open up Telegram and you go on to Discord and then you open up Facebook if you're old enough and then you check your email and then you repeat this cycle over and over and over and over until eventually you get depressed and you put the phone down again because you didn't get the notification hit you were looking for. You didn't get the DM you were looking for, or as many DMs as you had hoped for, or your following didn't increase as much as you had hoped it would. Or not enough people responded or love-hearted your story that you put on Instagram, or you didn't get enough viewers on your story on Instagram, or your TikTok video flopped and you really thought it was going to do well. And now you're feeling depressed. Now you're feeling down. Now you put your phone back down again and you can't be asked to do anything. You just sit there in bed like a zombie for another half an hour. So you fire yourself up a coffee. And you think and you hope that by downing a coffee and then down in a second coffee and then down in a third coffee that somehow this will wake you up. And indeed it does. But all it does is it puts you in this weird slumber state whereby you can't actually go back to sleep because you've got too much caffeine in your body, but you're still feeling foggy and muggy in your head. Foggy and muggy because you haven't done anything. And that feeling, that depressive feeling, it's eating away at you. You've just simply clouded it out or crowded it out. So tip number 1 is don't check your phone first thing. Don't check your phone first thing. I used to be in a very good habit, which I'm completely out of now because I'm sucked into the social media world. Whenever I open up social media, it's to post something. I don't consume, by the way. YouTube, I do consume more content on YouTube because I'm trying to learn from other YouTubers how to create better content. But Instagram, I don't consume jack, bruv. If you see in my profile, having viewed your story, this is a big thing. Like, I must have had an extra 2 seconds in my day or something to check someone's story. I open Instagram, I respond to DMs, and I put stories up. Content. Usually trying to redirect some of that traffic to something or other, whether it's one of my products or consultations or whatever the case may be. Maybe a YouTube video for you guys to watch. Aside from that, I'm not consuming content. It doesn't benefit me for the most part. It's junk food for the most part. It's depressing and it's stealing from my life. It's stealing from your life. You need to know this. You are just a pound sign, a dollar sign, a euro sign to these social media companies. Your attention is monetized. That should piss you off. You are a number, a digit, a currency, food. That's what you are. That's what I am. So unless you're making money from social media, treat it with utter disdain. Use it like a whore, like the whore it is. But don't sit there allowing the whore to use you. You understand my drift? So point number 1. Don't check your phone first thing in the morning. If you really have that urge to check your phone, maybe you've got a strong addiction to it, then do something productive first so that you can feel like you've earned the right to check your phone. I used to check my phone just once a day, my social media. It's not the case anymore because I constantly post throughout the day. But I used to check it just once a day. And I would actually look forward to checking it. One time in the evening after 6 o'clock, once I finished with my day. Why? Residual attention. Attention residue, I'm sorry. The less focus you have for the more important tasks that you have to do in your day. Because you're thinking about that post that you saw on Instagram. You're thinking about that argument you had with your sister on WhatsApp. You're thinking about this beef you got onto on a post on Facebook. You can't just automatically switch it off. Attention residue. And every percentage point of attention that is left on these particular things is attention that you don't have for your most important tasks that you need to accomplish throughout the daytime. You need to know this. It's very important. So check your phone, but in the evening, after you've done everything you need to do. And if that's too much of a stretch for you because you're used to checking your phone 1,000,000 times a day, then at least don't check it upon waking. Check it after you've done something. Maybe you've exercised for half an hour. Maybe you've done half an hour's worth of work. Then check your phone. Then you will feel like you deserve the reward. And that depressive feeling that you get, it will be at least mitigated, if not eradicated completely. Tip number 2, if you are struggling with feelings of self-deletion, is that you don't have complicated enough problems to sink your teeth into. You don't have complicated enough problems to solve. The beauty of complicated problems is that it gives you this rush of energy, this burst of life that you need to attack the problem, especially when the problem is appropriately difficult. It's difficult enough to the point where you're competent enough to be able to tackle it, but not too much to the point where it's just like some next like Chinese equation, bruv, just out of your league. You don't have enough complicated problems to sink your teeth into. You're too comfortable. You see, a lot of people wonder why the likes of Donald Trump or Warren Buffett in their old age are still so heavily involved in politics and business alike. They're like, go and live your life on an island. You're billionaires. Why do you want to kill yourself with all of these problems? Why do you still want to involve yourself with this stuff? You don't get it. That's what gives them the energy for life. Their energy for life is derived from constantly throwing themselves headfirst into problems and problem solving. Have you ever watched a Warren Buffett interview, one of his more recent ones? The guy's old, so just watch any interview over the past 5-10 years. Yeah, because 10 years ago he was still old. 20 years ago he was old. But now in particular, it's very impressive. Him and Charlie Munger. I think Buffett's like 91 or 92 and Charlie Munger is something like 96. Charlie Munger is Warren Buffett's business partner. Listen to how they speak. Despite their extremely advanced age, they are so well put together up here. Sharp as a blade. Sharp as a blade. Razor. Why? Because they never stopped. Do you know that, I can't remember what percentage of people it is, but a large percentage of people die just 5 to 6 years after retiring. Why? Because the mind's like, I used to have a purpose in this world. That purpose was my 9 to 5 job. I was a teacher, I was a technician, I was fill in the blank, whatever the case may be. Now I have no purpose. And so I should die. And you die. It's not a coincidence that individuals like Buffett and Donald Trump, Henry Kissinger for that matter, it's not a coincidence that they just seem to go on forever in terms of their age. They live, it's almost as though they live forever. Obviously they don't. But they commonly get to their 90s and sometimes even 100 plus. Why? Because they are constantly stimulating the mind with difficult problems. And this is good. This is good. This goes back to my first point, which is you will find those who are genuinely living in poverty on less than $3 a day. Rarely you will find them thinking about self-deletion. They don't have time to think about self-deletion. They're too busy, involved, engaged in problem solving on a day-to-day basis. Where's my next meal coming from? Do you know when thoughts and feelings of self-deletion come in? When you live in a relatively comfortable state. It's comfortable enough, but but there is a level of pain. But that pain is subdued. It's painful, but it's dull pain. It's the type of pain that you can endure for many years. It's irritating, it's annoying, but it's not annoying enough to push you into action. Those who are living on the poverty line or just below it, their pain is severe, it's acute, it hurts, and it pushes them into action, immediate action. The pain you are suffering from is not acute or severe enough to push you into action. And as a result of that, you dull your pain with YouTube, Instagram, Telegram, Discord, WhatsApp, on and on and on. Stop dulling your pain. Get off your phone. Every time you've got a problem to solve, don't try and dull the pain of solving that problem by checking your notifications on your Instagram and whatever the case may be. Don't do that. Sink your teeth into a difficult problem and work daily, consistently at solving that problem. It will provide you with an energy, a zeal, a luster for life. And that energy is what will lift your spirits. The problem itself is the cure. No matter how advanced you become in your respective fields, whether you become a billionaire or CEO or president of a country, whatever the case may be, you must constantly throw yourself headfirst into the next problem because your life depends on it. And finally, the third point, if you are suffering with feelings of self-deletion, and most importantly, is to remember the verse from the Quran, whereby Allah says, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنَّ الْقُلُوبِ. Verily in the remembrance of Allah do the hearts find rest. It's not a coincidence that the likes of Jordan Peterson and extremely intelligent, intellectual individuals who are indeed throwing themselves into difficult problems still suffer from feelings of depression and openly talk about it. Because verily in the remembrance of Allah and only in the remembrance of Allah do the hearts find rest. And if you enjoyed this video, then check out this video right here where I talk about the fact that you were born for the struggle and exactly what you should do with that struggle in order to live a fulfilled, meaningful and happy life.